Pilgrim Photography says, what would it take to replace Kevin Feige? A couple more bad movies and bad series at this point.
5 of the last 6 movies didn't cross $1 billion for him, so.
Yeah, and it's, well, if you look at the number wise, and I think we were talking about this yesterday on your show Culture, where we had said they kind of have the audience at this point. You're muted.
They definitely have, and arguably, in addition to having the audience, they've also produced 9 terrible television programs in a row. You know, for whatever you want to get out of the Marvel, you know, television stuff on Disney minus, they really aren't getting the kind of traction and eyeballs that they really need to.
Hey! I heard 3 people really liked Miss Marvel.
Man, and that's a shame because reportedly that's the best of the bunch. But I
saw it.
Yeah, but I feel like
You're one of the 3.
Yeah, I feel like now they've realized they can't actually try to interlink their movies with these TV shows too closely, because there's a lot of their audience that aren't Disney minus subscribers and don't care. In fact, there's a whole lot of don't care going on right now in a lot of these new Hollywood projects that are tied to these IPs, and it's not just Marvel and DC. I mean, you're going to see that fall off fall off a cliff even faster.
I think with the television shows, they need to start thinking like a TV network that is trying to crank out a show a week.
Yeah,
they're way too precious. Miss Marvel's a good idea where that first show was fantastic. That should have been Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And instead they went off to Pakistan and found the super rings, and then the power that was going to, you know, some terrorists, and then went, what? Then they brought it back and there was a horrible ending. And I thought the first show was great. The family was fantastic. The cultural,
it should have been like Spider-Man.
Were fantastic. You learned a little bit about the homeland, just enough to make it fun and interesting. And then they went stupid with it. But if this was a network show and they had to crank it out like, you know, Bill Bixby and the She-Hulk and whatever, and then it would have been, you know, it would just have been Buffy the Vampire, you know, every week. She's either trying to deal with boys in school, and then she has her superpower that she's kind of trying to keep secret.
And I thought that's what the show was going to be. I thought that's what the show was going to be because they were promoting it like Spider-Man. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. She's kind of taking that role of the teenage superhero who has to deal with the mundane, everyday bullshit while also being a superhero.
Yeah, it was at the beginning, and then they dropped it and made her a globe-trotting.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, she had to go.
Well, she's Black Widow.
No, they didn't do that. She had to go and research her family's ancestral roots, which on its own was good, but it didn't support the premise of what the show was. That's the problem I had with it. Is we're seeing these aspects of history. We're seeing her connection to her family and whatnot. But it's like everything is doing stuff for her, and she's not really doing it because it's the right thing to do. Like she's a sponge as a character. They're all helping her out. They're all doing stuff for her, but she never offers or sacrifices anything to help others. And that's was my biggest problem with it.
And then there's the Holy Grail back in Pakistan, I think it was.
I think so.
Where her powers or her things came from, and then other people could get other ones that would turn them evil and powerful, and oh my god, it turned into Chang-Chi.
No, it should have just been another. It should have been a Spider-Man. It should have been taking over that role. In fact, I don't think a lot of people would have problems with these younger characters had they not treated them as replacements, but treated them as like new recruits, right? Like if you had this, like you had this kind of offshoot, kind of side universe thing.
But the main problem is,
younger characters.
They don't want to turn it, and I hate to say this, formulaic weekly TV. They just
that's what She-Hulk should have been, and I get that.
She-Hulk should have been, and same with Ms. Marvel.
Yep.
I mean, they have too much freedom.
All of them, yeah.
They have way too much freedom and way too much money. And if they had to go by, you know, the usual filming rules of Hollywood for weekly stuff where they had to like crank out 10 minutes per day as opposed to 3 minutes per day of dailies of usable footage, then it would have. It creates a really different pace. It also makes it kind of cheap feeling in kind of a fun TV kind of way. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
No, I totally get what you're saying, Paul, and I agree with you. Like, they could have had some, and here we are again, rewriting She-Hulk in a better way. And I'm going to do this as quick as possible because we are getting backed up here, and I apologize, guys.
I'll get that. We can move on.
But no, like, even if you would have done it like kind of like the original Hulk series where you only got her twice, maybe once or twice an episode as She-Hulk, because you could even play with that as a joke because she breaks the fourth wall, right? Be like somebody's pissing her off and be like, quit pissing me off. We can't afford to have me turn into the She-Hulk more than once in this episode.
Yeah, but it's the Star Trek dilemma. It's again, it's the whole idea of what network television was about. And its scrappiness, its cheapness.
Well, and they waste that joke in the last episode when they have Kevin have her transform off screen, and it's done so
I know.
dryly. It's like, do you realize that could have been a running joke through the whole fucking series?
Well, and the fact is they had the money to do it, so I didn't believe them.
That's the problem you have, and that's where they should have done it. Like you said, Paul, literally made them crank out 20 episodes of this shit. Almost every episode is a different court case, like you said, like a Barney Miller night court situation where you have a goofy case come in almost every time, or maybe a sad story this one or whatever. It doesn't matter. You could throw in all kinds of different stories. You play on that, the reversal of the original Hulk show where he had to go from place to place to place to meet new people. It doesn't matter. New people are coming to her. So she's basically being the social worker and all these things that Bruce was in the original series. And then you play on that joke that they can only afford to have her be She-Hulk like twice an episode. And you can have fun with that all the time, especially like when somebody, like I said, is annoying her and she's like, I can't only turn the Hulk so many times. Knock it off. Like shit like that. Yeah. Little things like that. And they're like, what do you mean? And like, never mind. Just, whatever. You can have so much. That's the thing is.
And they could have done that with Ms. Marvel, and they just didn't do that either.
Well, it's just Spider-Man 2.0, right? You have a family situation. She has to deal with being a high schooler, dealing with her parents, and also dealing with being a superhero. Yep. So it's the same kind of thing, and it's ground level. You don't have to make it this globe-trotting thing. I mean, I get kind of understanding her past and stuff like that. That's one thing, but like
do it in season 2.
Yeah,
sprinkle it in
season 2 story. Yeah,
because that ups the ante a little bit, or even make it a special. You know what I mean? Like they used to have the specials where Family Ties goes to London.
Sure.
Like that kind of shit.
You know what?
The Brady's go to Hawaii.
If you watch the show House, it was a repetition machine. Disease of the Week.
Yeah. I mean,
Disease
even the
of the Week
Simpsons
and Dr. Sherlock Holmes. I mean, Dr. House.
Dr. House. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it drives me nuts that the streaming services just seem to think that is old school. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what they're
Well, it is, but Turner and Hooch on Disney Plus did very much that. Every episode of the Marshals was like someone to protect or someone to investigate. They wrapped it up, and then there was a C plot that was the thread throughout the series. But every time it was a brand new case, a brand new thing to do, brand new obstacles, all with the same characters and brand new villain. And it was, it felt like it was physically filmed a decade ago. But it hits the formula, and it reconciles with a lot of stuff of TV that would say that this would have been a successful show on network, but not for streaming.
Right. I think streaming needs a little more network.
No, and I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there too, but you're 100% correct, and I think that's a big problem.
What would it take to replace Feige?
No, yeah, pretty much another few bad movies. I think he's kind of under the heat right now. I won't say he's under a gun, but he's feeling the heat a little bit. Him coming out and publicly admitting that he underestimated Chapek was him basically throwing down the sword in that fight and giving up. Just that fight, not ever
replace him.
That's just it. It doesn't seem like Victoria Alonso is going to be the one to do it. That's who I think they fancied for the job, but at this point, it's going to have to probably be somebody from outside. Honestly, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Actually, who'd be a better idea? Brad Bird. But I don't know, because I wasn't too thrilled with the second Incredibles.
Brad Bird, I think, has already drank the Kool-Aid, sadly.
I think so. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Sadly, I think you're right.
Tomorrowland was horrible.
Yeah, you have that problem too.
But again, that could be one thing. I loved Incredibles 2. What are you talking about?
I didn't like it nearly as much.
I think
as
Incredibles 2 missed some of the heart that the first one had.
Yeah, it did. It was,
sure, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, it was better than a lot of the other
stuff
movies.
That the dad was dealing with his kids, I thought was more entertaining than Elastigirl's subplot. Because it's like, this is how we do math. They want us to do it this way. What? Math is math.
Why are they going to keep making math more complicated?
There were enough laughs in there. I'm okay.
There were a few, and it was one of the better movies at that time coming out. But like, let me put it to you this way: if that sequel had come out closer to the original movie, it would be hated. People would fucking despise it because they're like, this is shit compared to the first movie.
Oh, I like that.
At the time it came out, Pixar was like on this downward slope, so it was one of their better films at the time. But
we are one cynical bunch of bastards.
We are. See, even Mecha J's like, it was meh. No, Lasseter's not a bad choice, to be honest with you, Paul.
They're never going to bring him back.
He's never coming back there. And Brad Bird would have been able to do it 10 years ago, maybe. But at this point, you know what's weird is everybody keeps bringing up Jon Favreau to run Star Wars. I think he'd be better suited for Marvel.
He's helped build it. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say, if he's going to move into that position, where would he be better off cutting his teeth doing it than Marvel?
Yeah, I'd say
back up, and
I'll just call John. I think we have to have a phone call.
Yeah, this Mandalorian gig ain't working out like I planned anyway. So,
and Roberto's really.
I think I can resurrect Robert Downey Jr. Done it once before.
He's done. We need someone else.
I knew Script would like that.
Another former alcoholic.
There you go. Thank you for that. And then Justin J. Smooth. Bleh, sounds almost like a Snoopy character. Like, no, T'Challa can't support too much story left. I think he's trying to say he's not going to go because of T'Challa not being in the film. And I think a lot of people are not going to go because of that. And I don't blame him. Andre predicted that the biggest critics of this of Wakanda Forever are going to be black men, and I don't think he's wrong. Alex Kurtzman